What kind of place could make even the greatest Greek hero hesitate? It wasn't a battlefield. It wasn't the home of another monster. It was the underworld, the land of the dead. And before Odysseus could continue his journey home, he had to travel somewhere no living person was ever meant to go. But why would the answers he needed be found among the dead? Circe had already helped Odysseus and his crew, but before they could sail any farther, she gave him one final and unexpected instruction. If he truly wanted to find his way back to Ithaca, he first had to seek the guidance of the blind prophet Tiresias. There was just one problem: Tiresias was dead. To speak with him, Odysseus would have to journey to the underworld, a mysterious realm where every mortal soul eventually ended up, but almost no living person had ever entered and returned. When people hear the word underworld, they often imagine a place of fire and endless punishment. But that's not how the ancient Greeks imagined it. In Homer's Odyssey, the underworld was the final destination for nearly everyone after death, whether they were kings, heroes, or ordinary people. It was a dark, silent kingdom ruled by Hades, the god of the dead, where souls existed as faint shadows of the people they had once been. Unlike Mount Olympus, where the gods lived in light and splendor, the underworld was separated from the world of the living by mysterious rivers, the most famous being the river Styx. Crossing into this realm meant leaving behind the warmth, color, and energy of life itself. The souls there could remember their past, but they no longer possessed the strength or vitality they had in life. For the ancient Greeks, the greatest tragedy wasn't fiery punishment, it was the loss of life itself. The underworld was a place of silence, memory, and longing, making it one of the most haunting places in all of Greek mythology. Unlike many stories where heroes simply stumble into the world of the dead, Odysseus could only enter through a sacred ritual. Following Circe's instructions exactly, he sailed with his crew to the edge of the known world, to a distant place where the river Oceanus was believed to flow around the earth. There, he stopped his ship and prepared to call upon the spirits of the dead. First, Odysseus dug a small trench in the ground. Into it, he poured offerings of milk mixed with honey, sweet wine, fresh water, and sprinkled barley over the top. These gifts were meant to honor the dead and invite them to appear. Finally, he sacrificed 2 black sheep, allowing their blood to flow into the trench. Then something unsettling happened. As the blood soaked into the earth, countless spirits emerged from the darkness and gathered around the offering. In Homer's world, the dead were only shadows of their former selves. They lacked the strength to think or speak clearly. But by drinking the fresh blood from the sacrifice, they briefly regained enough awareness to recognize the living and answer their questions. Odysseus stood guard with his sword, refusing to let any spirit drink until the prophet Tiresias arrived. Only the man he had risked everything to find would be allowed to speak first. The first spirit to drink from the sacrifice was Tiresias, the blind prophet whom Odysseus had come to find. Even in death, Tiresias alone kept his gift of prophecy. He warned Odysseus that reaching home would not be enough. The greatest danger still lay ahead, and if his crew harmed the sacred cattle of the sun god Helios, disaster would follow. It was a reminder that the choices they made would matter more than their strength. After Tiresias had spoken, another familiar face appeared, Odysseus' mother, Anticlea. He had left for the Trojan War believing he would see her again, never knowing she had died while he was away. Overcome with emotion, he tried 3 times to embrace her, but each time his arms closed on nothing but a shadow. It was a heartbreaking reminder that death had created a barrier no love could cross. Odysseus also met Agamemnon, the great king who had survived the Trojan War only to be murdered after returning home. His tragic story became a warning that even reaching Ithaca would not guarantee safety. Finally came Achilles, the greatest warrior of the Greeks. Rather than celebrating the glory that had made him famous, he admitted he would rather live as the poorest servant on earth than rule over every soul in the underworld. In that single conversation, Homer reveals one of the most powerful ideas in the Odyssey: no amount of fame or victory can ever replace the gift of being alive. At first glance, the underworld might seem like just another stop on Odysseus' long journey home. But it serves a much deeper purpose. Unlike the Cyclops or the Sirens, the underworld isn't an enemy to defeat. Instead, it is a place of reflection, where every encounter teaches Odysseus something he cannot learn through battle alone. Tiresias gives him the wisdom to avoid future mistakes. His mother reminds him of everything he has lost while chasing glory. Agamemnon shows that even a victorious hero can lose everything in the end. And Achilles, the greatest warrior of them all, reveals that life itself is worth more than fame or honor after death. Together, these conversations transform Odysseus. He enters the land of the dead searching for directions, but he leaves with something far more valuable, a deeper understanding of life, loss, and the responsibility of leading others. Before he can return home as a king, he first has to learn what truly makes life worth returning to. Odysseus entered the underworld hoping to find a path back to Ithaca, but the journey gave him much more than directions. By listening to the voices of the dead, he gained wisdom, accepted the cost of his long absence, and learned that even the greatest heroes cannot escape mortality. In the end, the underworld isn't remembered because of monsters or battles. It's remembered because it reminds us that understanding how precious life is sometimes begins by confronting death itself.